Ladies and gentlemen, if you're considering picking up an RTX 4080 in particular, as well as some other RTX 40 cards, you may want to hold off because there's some rumours that we could be seeing some price cuts upcoming for Nvidia's RTX 40 lineup, but that is after some pain with shortages expected over the next quarter. We'll get into this in just a moment, but I first of all want to start out with some rumours to specifications for the RTX 4060. So it is based on PG190 AD107-400-A1, we gotta love those dashes, 3072 FP32, or if you prefer, CUDA cores, 8GB of GDDR6 memory running at 18 Gbps, 115 watts, so I have to say in terms of power consumption it's not too bad at all, and then 24 megabytes of L2 cache. So I'm sure we can all agree that the performance of this is not exactly going to set the world alight. How performant is it going to be? Well, it's kind of difficult to say, but I don't expect it to be that much faster than, let's say, an RTX 3060 Ti. It's probably going to depend, as usual, on things like the game engine, the resolution, ray tracing. One benefit of the RTX 4060, presumably, is it will be able to leverage DLSS free and frame generation, so that could be kind of nice. It'll be interesting to test this out in a price performance ratio against, let's say, an RTX 3070, particularly on the used market. But as always, it's going to depend heavily on the pricing. It's a little too early, I think, at the moment to speak about pricing. I haven't personally been told what this card is going to be, but let's just face it, guys, I don't expect this card is going to be like $200 US, which is unfortunate. But anyway, let's get back to the 4080 and 4070 Ti price cuts. So I've actually done some digging for myself, and we'll get into that in a moment, but firstly, let's start things out with Chinese board channels. This has then been reported by my drivers. They've stated that the 4090, 80 and 70 Ti will have lower numbers available in retail for the rest of this quarter. However, following the supply shortage, the 4080 in particular is rumoured to be receiving a cut in pricing. There seems to be some confusion whether this is also going to impact other cards in the RTX 40 lineup. We'll get into this in a moment, such as the 4070 Ti, but I've decided to do some digging. So this is one of the reasons I'm a couple of days late reporting this. Now, I've spoken to a couple of sources. They're very much unrelated to one another. The first source and the second source both agreed that this is happening. There is lower supply expected in the, just lower inventory expected. This is probably going to start to get better by April/May. However, it's also going to be region specific. So you may not notice it too much in some regions, and in other regions, well, it's going to be more painful. The reason behind this, though, seems to differ between the two sources. One told me that it could be because, well, Nvidia are just basically seeing lower than expected sales anyway, and they want to start to push their supply chain towards, well, let's say, servers or whatever. However, the other one tells me a slightly different story. They've said that it's a number of reasons. One, economic conditions, but also Chinese New Year and other things that just all kind of conspired together. I don't know whether any of these reasons are true. Perhaps there is a combination of it, but who knows? So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if there is a price reduction incoming. However, one of my sources is very skeptical regarding this. There is, however, a significant price difference between the 4070 Ti and 4080. From another source who provided me photos of the RTX 4070 box, I was told that the MSRP likely would be $599 to $649 US. But of course, this was, 2 months out before the card was actually due to launch. It's apparently going to happen in April. But yeah, I'm not going to go over the specifications of the card too much again because we've talked about the 4070 to death. But here's a photo from a mega-sized GPU of the actual, well, GPU chip itself. The performance is roughly on par with the 3080/3080 Ti, depending on whether we're seeing ray tracing, resolution, game engine, all of that stuff, allegedly. So what's my advice? Because, well, we've got the 4060 coming out for the lower end. We've got potentially price cuts for the 4080, for example, on the higher end, but there's also shortages, so what the balls do you do? Well, again, it's going to depend on a region for region basis. Let's say with the 4080, for example, You could just buy one now, if you're in the market for a 4080, for example. You might find, though, that a price cut of 50 to 100 bucks happens by, let's say, May, which may not tickle you in the happy places that you like to be tickled in. But, frankly, the discrete PC hardware market is becoming a bit of a meme at the moment, especially when it comes to lower to mid-range cards. I don't really want to turn this into a whole rant, even though I can feel my rant juices flowing. But, you know, back in the day, and it makes me feel 100 when I say that, but seriously, the RX 480 isn't that bloody old, and I know that there are a number of reasons that the RX 480 hit the sweet spot, but, you know, we had a card that was, what, 229, 249, I can't remember exactly. And I think it had I think it's 229 for the 8GB model and 199 for the 4GB model, and it was pretty damn performant. In fact, I was actually using it as my main card for quite a bit because I was using the GTX 1080 for like testing purposes. And it was a really good card. We need equivalent of that in the lower end market now. I do hope that the RTX 4060, for example, actually manages that. I don't know if they're going to release it at the price necessary. I mean, I would love to see that card at like 300 bucks. I just don't see it happening. Let's hope that N33, for example, could provide us that level of performance. I've gone into N33 in another video, so I'm not going to go too much into that spiel either. Intel's Arc is also a possibility. The actual hardware isn't too bad for Arc, it's mostly the software and drivers, and they really still need a lot of work. I will give kudos to Intel's team, they are doing a really good job, but it's just like, it's a really dumb, really stupid, absolutely ridiculous comparison, but it's like, if you are just, for example, let's use, you know, geography that I think most people don't understand, but let's just say that you are in, you know, West Coast US and you want to go to East Coast US and you have to drive it, and, you know, it's like, it's going to take you a while to get there. So from Intel software, it's not like they would started right on like the, you know, the coastline of Seattle all the way to like New York. They kind of had a little bit of, you know, an inroad, but they certainly won't, you know, you get the idea. They've got a long ass road to go, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Intel does. I'm really hoping Battle Mage is great. The rumour is it's roughly about 4080 level performance, and as I've mentioned previously, it's going to launch Q1, probably more likely Q2, which of course is not too long after that. We're going to start to see probably benchmarks of engineering sample RTX 50s. But anyway, I think that's just about it for this video. I've already rambled way too long. Sorry for the audio only. Basically, this is just a topic that a couple of people requested I speak about, and then as I was recording, then someone else messaged me about the 4060 stuff. So, yeah, I wasn't actually intending for this video to go live today, but a couple of people asked me my opinions on this stuff. I'm working on a couple other bits and pieces, so stuff is just not really, you know, conducive to filming today. Hopefully normal service will return tomorrow, assuming the project I'm working on is ready to go live. With that said, stay safe, guys. Have an amazing day. Bye for now.